Hey guys, here is the fourth and final installment of our series of the last few weeks, talking about our 4 DNA distinctives, what it looks like to be gospel-centered communities on mission. This week, the last one is multiplying. We have gospel-centered, authentic, missional, and multiplying. This fourth distinctive really flows out of the other 3. If the other 3 are intact, this will sort of naturally happen. But at the same time, we want to be intentional about multiplying within our small groups. And so what may come to mind to you is thinking about a group that's grown large to 24, 25, 30 people, and now it's too large to meet in one place, so we want to find another leader, split the group down the middle, and now have 2 groups. And that's not necessarily what we have in mind when it comes to multiplication. So when we talk about multiplication, we're talking about multiplying disciples, multiplying leaders, and maturing believers. We're not necessarily talking about adding more small groups. So when we say multiply, think 3 things. Think number 1, multiplying disciples. So a follower of Christ, making other followers of Christ, hanging out with people who are non-believers. We should have non-believers in our life that the Lord is using us to point towards Him, to love towards Him. And so through our life on mission here in this community, hopefully we'll be seeing the Great Commission accomplished and people receiving the gospel and following after Jesus. So that's the first layer of multiplication. The second layer of multiplication is maturing disciples. So everybody within a small group ought to be helping someone who's a believer mature, and ought to be finding somebody either inside of their group or outside to help them mature. So making disciples, maturing disciples, and then the last one is reproducing leaders. So you as a small group leader, reproducing yourself into someone else. Everybody in all of our groups ought to have somebody that we're looking at. If we were to die tomorrow, or if God were to call us to a different place in the country, who would take over our group? Who are we training? Who are we reproducing ourselves? This DNA of gospel communities on mission, who are we reproducing ourselves into? So that's, if we're doing those 3 things, then over time our groups will multiply. And I'll attach a document to this email that talks a little bit about our planting of small groups, our small group planting strategy and approach. Our idea is that our small groups would, as they grow, would function as sort of a mini church planting model, that we'd plant gospel community outposts all over the city that represent the kingdom of God, that are working for the good of our city, not just splitting groups down the middle and having 2, but intentionally sending out prayerfully and strategically new small groups to reach parts of our city where there's less of a gospel presence. So be sure to take a look at that document. Now, we love you. Those are our 4 DNA distinctives. Hopefully this has been helpful to you, and we'll talk to you more next time.